Make sure. Okay, it looks like everything's working.
Yep.
Gregory Tardy, good morning.
Good morning. It's great to see you.
You too. In fact, today I wore my Gregory Tardy hat for this interview.
Oh, and I didn't wear mine.
Maybe it's too many hats. These glasses are glaring. I'm going to lose those. I'm going to get the fashion right before we really get into the music.
I think I'll make it even then. I'll put mine on. How about that?
Oh, excellent. Okay, now I got to get one of those. Yeah. Well, you're obviously staying busy, right?
Yeah, trying to. There's a lot going on, and of course with we're full swing into the semester, and it's hybrid. Some of it's online and some of it's in person, and so it's just, I'm running around like a chicken with its head cut off and still trying to practice, and I do still have some gigs. So,
and how is it teaching online? I mean, music is so personal, is it hard?
It's requiring a lot more preparation than I feel almost like I'm starting from scratch, like when I first came to UT 10 years ago. So it's so I'm doing a lot more prep work than I have the last couple of years, but it's good. I feel like as a result of this, when things get back to normal, my course is going to be a lot more streamlined than it was before. So I feel like it's going to be a benefit to both me and my students.
Yeah, and well, time is zooming by, and it can't stand still. And your new record's called "If Time Could Stand Still." What were you thinking when you named that? What was the feeling, and did you name it before the pandemic?
Oh yeah. All these songs. It was this stuff was, most of the stuff was written when I was on a tour. I was over in China with Willie Jones and his band. And and we were there for about 3.5 weeks, and I had beginning sketches of a lot of these songs, but I wrote this one at a certain point when I was feeling homesick. I had and thinking about thinking about my in particular my son, who's in college now, but thinking about, wow, almost out of time. We spent all these years raising him, and he's just about out the door, and now he is out the door. And thinking about my daughter getting older as well, and she's a full-fledged teen now. Thinking about time with my parents, who are older, and and it's just and just thinking, like, I just wish I could make time stand still and just so I could just savor this particular period a little bit longer. But as we see time moves on, right now I guess we all don't want time to stand still. We want to move forward and get past this crazy year, but that was a much more pleasant time for me.
Yeah, and when you're listening to these songs now, in light of all that, and in light of sort of like time in a weird way, sort of slowing down in a kind of a weird way, how do you view this record now that you had a little time between the recording of it and the writing of it? How do you look at it now?
Well, I think the main thing is that we really do have to savor. I mean, I know with all this junk going on, it's really kind of hard to think about this, but we all have things in our lives that are precious to us. Like right now, I'm thinking about, I'm very happy that I speak with my parents every day, and I see them fairly regularly, and I have my daughter's here, and we when I'm not running all over the place, we spend a lot of time together. And my wife, I've got a great wife. I've got this is really about family, we really do have to savor these moments, the things in our lives that are good before they become memories. Savor the memories before they become memories, so to speak.
Yeah, it's sort of like just locking into the present moment.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not always so easy to do,
Oh no, it's much easier to focus on our problems and if I were to sit and just focus on all the, and I this is a reminder to myself actually, if I just sit and focus on all the negative things that are happening today, then I don't focus on this particular period with my family or just sitting around being thankful for like the time I'm having. I really do enjoy teaching my students and I enjoy that I still have an active playing career, although it's very, I'm not doing much right now because of all this, but I still do play, and I have just really savoring this time period. So.
Well, and one of the things for me, like I would not wish a pandemic on anybody or any place, but I have, as strange as it may sound, I've had more time to really listen, whether it's I'm outdoors and listening to the birds, or when a record comes in, because I'm not rushing to and fro. Like when your record came in, I was able to just sit down and listen to it twice, which I probably wouldn't have been able to do a year ago. I'd probably listen to it once and pick my favorite songs for the radio show and then
Yeah.
come back to it and listen again later. But I was just like, right off the bat, I listened to it twice. And I got to say, it's one of my favorite of your recordings. And I tried to analyze why. Sometimes I don't know. I just like it. But I just really like this lineup. I really like Keith Brown in there, for example. That's a whole flavor. What about this lineup for you works?
Well, of course, Keith and I, we've had a relationship over the last 10 years, and I mean, he actually started off as my student, like he was my first year at UT, and he was he was just finishing out his master's degree, and so I started off teaching him. Then after that, then we did a lot of stuff in various variations of Vance Thompson's groups and some of my own gigs, and eventually I used them on my Standards and More CD, and which he did a tremendous job on that. And then since he's moved to New York, we've all missed him. And when I was trying to decide who I was going to use on piano, he just once again I was just like, well, Keith and I haven't done anything in a while. It'd be great to do something with him again. And so that's that. Now, Alex Norris, who's the phenomenal trumpeter on the project, Alex and I go all the way back to 1994. He actually used to play in some early renditions of my band back in New York, and then our paths kind of went different ways. And then I'd say in the last 4 or 5 years, we started playing together again in most notably in the Todd Marcus Orchestra, which is a group based out of Baltimore with this phenomenal bass clarinetist Todd Marcus, and it's kind of like rekindled our friendship and as well as our musical relationship. And so he played on my CD Chasing After the Wind, and just the same, he did a remarkable job on that one, and he did a remarkable job on this one as well. And my only regret is I wish I could have had him on for more of it. Alex Claffey, he was on the tour when I wrote all this stuff. He was on that's how I met him, through when I was out with Willie, and it was and so that's how he wound up becoming the basis for this. And Willie Jones, we've played together since I can't remember when we first started playing together, maybe around 1999 or something like that. And usually it's been in the context of one of his bands or someone else's band. But this is it's one. He asked me. This is his label, and he asked me to do something, and it's one of those things where I just thought it's like a really great opportunity for me to finally hear him on some of my music, because I've always loved his playing, and so it just really worked out great.
Yeah, one of my favorite tracks is Absolute Truth. What can you tell me about that one?
Well, it's I'd say the title kind of comes from this whole concept of I don't know. I mean, I don't really believe that. Like some people will say that all truth is relative, and I remember like one famous line in Star Wars is "Only a Sith believes in absolutes," and to which Anakin Skywalker he should have replied, "Is that an absolute statement?" uh, and it's, I mean, but of course he was a bad guy, so he wasn't. Whatever. That's I'm going on a tangent, but I guess what it is that there's some truths that can be looked at as relative, and there's some truths that are just absolute, and that's so I was kind of musing on that, and that's where the title comes from. But as far as the musical thing, it's a blues, and it's obviously it's a blues, and it was one of those. I do a lot of experimentations with uh, like mixing of like funk and hip hop type of aspects with jazz straight ahead. And whereas some people will do that, it'll wind up sounding more like hip hop or funk than jazz. My stuff winds up sounding more like jazz with just some hip hop or funk flavors because I do for at this present point in my career, I'm trying to keep it within that context, which is I'm not saying that that I'm not trying to say everyone should do it that way. That's just the way I do it. Um, so that's stylistically where that one comes from.
Yeah, and you know, on your website, um, you know, there are several quotes about what you do, and it's always they almost always mention the blues, like your understanding of blues music, but also your embracing of being able to get out there, or however you want to. Some people say avant-garde or whatever it is. I don't
Yeah.
know how I describe it, but how do you balance those two?
Um, Quite frankly, I don't think I do very well. I haven't done anything on an avant-garde type of territory in a minute. I like to. It's kind of funny. I was talking with Sean Conley just last week and talking about how I wanted to go that direction again at some point. I have some other things on the table first I want to get to before that, but I'd say that I haven't really done something seriously avant-garde since the Timelines Andrew Hill CD. I've had traces of it and
Yeah.
traces like a tune here and there on some of my CDs, but I have a lot of things I want to do in the future, and one of the many things I'd like to do is a trio with Sean and Jameo, where we're getting into some things that are a little bit more eclectic. You know, God willing, if I'm doing this long enough, we'll get there eventually. But I have some other things on the table that I want to do as well. So
I think my favorite track on the record is the opener, "A Great Cloud of Witnesses." The tune is, well, it's just really exciting to me. You know, it's when I put the record on, I'm like, it's one of the great moments of my day. You know, when a new record comes in and you put it on and you don't know what's coming. You know, you haven't heard a sample. You're just like, here it comes, and that one just bursts out, and the playing is joyful. It's intense. It's exciting. It's a great arrangement. Tell me about this one.
um, okay, it's I'll talk about it musically first. It's musically I was one of the various ways I like to write is I like to work off drums a lot. And this particular song, I uh, I was checking out some drummers from Burundi. I was doing some random internet searches on drummers, on African drummers, and I got caught up with these drummers from Burundi, and so I just you know decided I wanted to write a song off of the rhythms I was hearing. So I wrote down various rhythms that I was hearing them do, and I basically I wrote all the rhythms first, and then I assigned notes to them and chords to them, and so and so what you're hearing when you hear that is actually kind of like a a melodic and harmonic transcription of Burundi drum section. And so that's where that musically where that comes from. And I'd say that the title comes from that's actually a quote from the book of Hebrews in scripture. And it basically it's about how we can be inspired, by the faith of people in the past who've had to persevere, through trials, and because they persevered, they were able to experience the faithfulness of a real God. And that's where that comes from.
Yeah, and I just that one. It's one of my favorite things you've ever recorded, and I love Keith's playing on, and Willie. Everybody's playing on it is great. Did you have the same feeling, like when you cut the end of the recording and went, we nailed it, or are you more picky than that?
Well, I'm very picky. I'm very, very picky, and people that have recorded with me know that if I had my way, I would have 10 days in the studio, and I would just keep, and I'd probably do one tune a day, until I got like every little aspect of it. But there was a good feeling in this this take, and it's and so that's the one that wound up making the recording. One of the things that's really hard about is when you get a group that doesn't play together all the time, and then all of a sudden I throw all this music. And somehow my music has been accused of being difficult, and it's by many people. And so basically, for people that haven't played the music before, to have to sit and decipher this stuff, and then without much rehearsal, and then go in and then play on a CD and try to sound like they've known it for a million years. That's always a real challenge, and it's a real testament of how high level these musicians are. So
Yeah, well, I loved it, and that's the great thing about being a listener, is that you're able to not know, in a way, like that the artist, whatever, is like, I could have used another 5 takes, or I would have liked another go on the sax solo or whatever. We don't know that. And so to me, it sounded like just
oh yeah, it was a special moment. The thing about like me is that I'm super, and my wife, you can ask her when you run into her, I'm about the most most of the time it's about me. I'm very rarely satisfied with what I do. It's very rare that you'll hear me talk about one of my CDs and be like, hey, I really nailed that. I was killing on that. And it's not like a false humility or anything. It's just that I very rarely can get off the things I'm thinking about for one reason or another. And so, which is one of the reasons why I like to do take after take after take, because it's something that I'm searching for, and and sometimes I'll get there, sometimes I'll get there.
Yeah.
But,
well, that actually makes me feel good, because I kind of feel that way about everything, to a degree, like cooking, like, I'll spend all evening making something, and I'll get it and go, if I just would have put more tomato and garlic in this, it would, I can't help it. But again, that's like, like what we go back to earlier is like focusing on the present moment, and not seeing what's lacking. And how do you resolve all that? Because you care deeply about what you're doing. How do you resolve that feeling of like, I didn't quite get it?
Well, one thing that I just thought about as you were saying that is there was a time back in like 2008 where I had to take a good chunk of time off because I had some surgeries that made it impossible for me to play for a minute, and with that big chunk of time not playing the saxophone and not really being around, I wasn't around jazz much. I would go back and listen to my CDs, and for the first time, I actually could enjoy some of them, because I was like, you know what, that actually, because I was able to listen as if I was listening to someone else other than myself, and that was the time where I was like, wow, that actually, I kind of dig that. That's because I wasn't sitting there trying to analyze every single note that I was playing. I was just like checking it out. And so it's just a reminder to me once again, um, I'm speaking to myself to just enjoy the moment, enjoy the moment while it's here, before it becomes a memory.
Yeah. Well, and one of the great things about records is that it captures that moment in time, and it does stand still. That record will always be there. And I've always wondered this with especially people that improvise at a high level or frequently as part of what they do. Do you feel like your best solos that reach where you're going are more often captured in the studio or done live, where there's an audience and you get that extra whatever it is?
Probably live. Probably live because it's like I say that the best I play are on gigs where I don't feel that I'm under a lot of pressure, and I'm just having fun. But as soon as like someone tells me, like, I'll have these gigs, I'll be out with Bill Frisell or something like that, or and I'll just be having a lot of fun playing. And then all of a sudden someone will say, okay, so we're going to record this it's just for archive's sake. It's not going to come out, which is usually a bit of a minor lie, but it says it's just for archive's sake, but we're going to record this. Then immediately that's when I find myself tensing up, and then I know I'm not playing as well as I could. When I don't feel like I'm under pressure, I play much better. But at the same time, I think I have gotten much better at this studio thing. Being able to, I still become like a nervous wreck, but I feel that I've got like certain systems in place that help me to try to keep a certain level of consistency when I do go in the studio.
The very last show I saw before everything was sort of locked down and shut down was live at Lucille's, which was definitely being archived for use. And it was the Sherman Irby show. I got to tell you, for me, that was a really special show, especially because of the history you two had. It was also the day McCoy Tyner passed away, and
Yeah.
y'all did a tribute to him. That show to me was like, if I'm going to not see a live show for 6 or 8 months, that one was a good one to go out on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, yeah, that was a special moment. And I have, and then also I just really love playing with Sherman. I mean, because for obvious reasons, we're old friends and old roommates, and he's just such a great player. I mean, like such a swinging cat, which is why that I swing because I'm happy. I wrote that for him. I mean, I forgot to tell them to put it in the liner notes. It was too. I mean, I did tell them, but by then it was too late. But I actually wrote that one for Sherman, and it's basically just because he has a certain kind of joy when he plays. It's fun to listen to, and it's inspiring to listen to, and it's and obviously the title is a play off of, if anyone knows the song "His Eyes on the Sparrow," it's actually a play on I sing because I'm happy, but I swing because I'm happy. It's kind of a pun, but that I wrote that really thinking about Sherman's playing.
Oh wow! Well, I love knowing that because I've already gotten to enjoy the tune, and I did catch the eye. I was wondering if it was an eye on the sparrow kind of reference there.
Yeah.
Well, this record is one I'm going to enjoy for a long time. It's called. I'm going to make sure I get it right because if time could stand still.
Right.
And Gregory Tardy, and it's out on Steeplechase. Just came out.
No. It's actually on WJ3 Records.
Oh, can I recut that?
It's WJ3 Records, and that's actually Willie Jones III Records. It's actually his.
That's right. You mentioned that earlier. I'm going to recut this whole part.
No, it's okay.
Okay. The name of the record is "If Time Could Stand Still." It's on WJ3 Records. It's Willie Jones record label. And yes. Gregory Tardy, it's been a pleasure to talk to you this morning.
It's been a real pleasure talking with you as always.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see you play live again. And you know, and I have the same issues. I'm telling you, because I messed up the record label, but I'm going to leave it in the Zoom interview so people can see, you know, can
Yeah.
see the messed up note I just played.
Yeah. Well, it's all right. I've got plenty of messed up notes. So maybe you should do like a never mind.
That could be your avant-garde record.
Yeah.
Messed up notes.
Your avant-garde interview.
Yeah, just all the mistakes. Someone
Yeah.
would enjoy it. Someone somewhere would like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll see you around, I hope, and be safe and take care.
Yeah. Thanks, Todd. You too. God bless.
Ciao. Bye.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Todd.